Hello and welcome to IIABCAL Voices. I am James Ludgen, your host. This is my network, JLJ Media, in association with IIABCAL, where we talk to people in the industry of insurance in California. Now, this is a treat for me because we've been friends for 100,000 years. Yes, that's what I'm saying, 100,000 years. It's not even a number, but we know each other for years. I had different hair color. He had different hair color we met. It's a whole other story. What about that? He is the vice president of Bolton & Company. He specializes in construction, real estate, manufacturing, wholesale, and healthcare. He is a member of the LA chapter of National Electrical Contractors Association. He served as the president to IAB of Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena. There's a whole thing there. He was also director at what was IBA West. He also plays the guitar in some videos, giving away things on LinkedIn. And he's my friend, Mr. Todd Jackson. Hi, Todd.
Hey, James, thanks for having me, man. I'm impressed. I'm like, wow, did I do that? I guess when you've been in this business for as long as I have, you kind of build this resume over time, which all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I guess I used to do that kind of stuff, or I did that. But
well, Todd, so okay, we're both of a seasoned age where that starts to happen because we've been around a while. What does it when I start reading off your resume or credits? How does it hit you these days? What does it mean to you?
This industry is something like, for me, I came into it through the family. My grandfather was in the business, my dad was in the business. And so I didn't really have much desire, but I kind of fell into it like most of us. But it's been an incredible career for me, and I'm kind of the 50-yard line or maybe 60-yard line of my career now. It's been a lot of fun. I've met some great people, have lifelong friends like yourself, that we get to meet at these conferences, and it's been great. So I'm enjoying it right now, and it's been great. Yeah.
How now that you're still, like you said, we're kind of we're both over a certain age, like we said, and we're enjoying our careers. I'm enjoying mine. I know you're enjoying yours. What keeps you in it?
I think the people really. This pandemic. So I've been in sales my whole career, and mostly commercial lines, and I really fell into that because I like seeing people, but I like seeing how stuff is made and things are built, and that's just always been fascinating to me. So with the pandemic, and our office had been remodeled during this time, so we've been out of our office for the last since November at least.
Wow.
And I haven't had a whole lot of client contact. And so what I've realized through this is I enjoy being around people. And that's my favorite thing of this business. And there's a lot of great people in this business. I have a lot of great clients. I've had some so-so clients over the years, but we all, right?
Yeah, that happens.
But yeah, I think that's what keeps me in it is really, really the people. And it's flexible. I've been able to, Claire, as my daughter who's, grew up and swam and did dance, and I was able to be home and be at all of her events and award ceremonies. So it's a really great life balance career.
It is. And I've talked to people on here. We talked about how it is a great career balance, a kind of career to have when you have children, when you have a family. It actually really can work out. I'm gonna ask you a question I've never asked you before. It's a couple of things I get to ask you. It's my chance to do this.
Bring it.
If you weren't in insurance, would you be an electrician or an engineer? Do you think you'd be in something where you'd be putting something together if you weren't in insurance?
That's not a skill set. I just admire other people who do that.
Okay, well, there you go. There you go.
So here's a quick story, and then I'll get back to that question. So my neighbor is a stockbroker, and he's been my neighbor for almost 20 years. And he always has black cars, and he's always out washing cars. And I was talking to him one day. I'm like, oh man, I love that you're just washing cars. And he's like, you know what? Being in the financial services business, we never get to build a product. So we don't get to have something from start to finish. So this is like therapy for me. I can go out here and have a dirty car, and by the end of it, I have a clean car, and I have pride in that. And I'm like, oh man, I totally get that. Yeah. So I've been washing my cars for the last 10 years or whatever. It's kind of therapeutic.
Well, black cars get dirty and dusty and fingerprints. You always got to wash them.
Totally. And then Claire, my daughter, has a white car. And then the funny thing is, white cars don't show the dirt. That's a total lie. Her car is disgusting.
Total lie. People say that. I go, no. My sister has a white car. I'm like, no, I see the dirt all the time. I mean, sorry, sis.
So,
Not juicy the dirt.
so my deal with Claire is, hey, every time you come home, I will wash your car and I'll fill it up with gas. So
Okay.
a little extra incentive. So back to your question, what would I be doing if I wasn't in insurance? This is, I kind of had a crossroads years ago when I left the family business and started my own. It was like, what am I going to do other than insurance? I think it would have been a sales role of something because I enjoy sales and enjoy people. But I just realized like there's really nothing I'd rather do.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, like, I don't know if I'd be a police officer. That's kind of something I've looked at. I don't know. I just admire that. And especially now, I'm 47 and I have guys that are, friends of mine who are 50 or 55 and are retiring.
I know. No, I know, me too. I know.
I'm like, what?
I know. Yeah.
But I did have a friend of mine take me on a ride along a while ago, and man, that's a tough job. And I was like halfway through his shift. I'm like, dude, I gotta go home. I gotta go to bed. I can't hang.
Well, I know I come from law enforcement family, so I know it's not. I give it all to them. It's not easy. No, it's funny you say because I have a friend who just retired. She's 55. I'm like, and she retired from airport police, actually, LAX, and she's retired, full benefits. Everything. I'm like, how did that happen? Chances are I'm gonna work the rest of my life because this is the industry that I'm in Hollywood. So I'm probably gonna do this the rest of my life. It's fine. But yeah, it's kind of funny to see our friends and colleagues. They're starting to tune it out. They're tuning out. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't know if I can do it anyway. I like what I do, so I kind of like being.
Yeah, I do too.
But I was just wondering because you're part of the Electrical Contract Association. You work with construction and real estate. I was always wondering. So it's a great thing you said about your colleague, your neighbor saying, because I don't do this kind of thing, I get to do something like it in my personal life that kind of fulfills that need. I guess it's funny when we do certain jobs. You're right. There are things we don't get to do. I mean, I guess it could be a kind of hobby or something. So is guitar playing kind of that for you? Is that kind of like a learning something to, from scratch?
Yeah, it's I enjoy it because there's always something to learn. And so I picked up guitar years ago in college when it was just kind of the cool thing to do. And I took a guitar class, and then life happened, and Claire was a baby, and my electric guitar and amp went away for 18 years. And,
Yes.
The thing about guitar is they say like if your guitar is not out, if it's in a case somewhere, you're never going to play it. So you have to have it out.
So yours back there,
So
So I see it. Yes, it's out.
yeah, I got one there and a few over here. So yeah, that was kind of this was almost pre-COVID. I'm like, I just need something to do and just something to kind of keep my mind and learn something. And I've enjoyed it. And now with technology and apps and YouTube, man, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
But the thing with the whole guitar, LinkedIn,
Yeah. I love it.
I'll go into that now if you want, unless you want to table that.
I love it. It's something different that people aren't doing, so I love it. Please.
So I think my client Habib Salo from Young Males.
I do.
You interview.
I interview him. I love him. Him and his brother are amazing. His mom's amazing. He's one of my favorite people in the world. His incredible energy, his hard work, I've interviewed him, so I know him. Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy.
Yeah, and their story, which is just
unbelievable.
Like I can't even do it justice by telling a quarter of it. But anyways, he was just like, this is a couple of years ago. He was just really kind of shifting his business from, to go more towards a social media platform. And there's all these videos, and I'm like, man, Habib, this is really cool. And he's like, you should do a video. I'm like, me do a video? I'm like, what? And he's like, listen, just get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do your iPhone. Just do a quick, hey, here's what's going on in the insurance world. So I did that, and it was super uncomfortable, and this is a year and a half ago or 2 years ago when nobody was on Zoom or camera all the time, at least those of us not in showbiz, right? So I did a couple of those, and it started to get a couple likes and things, and then I did for COVID. I picked up my guitar, and then I just played a quick riff, and I just said, hey, has anyone picked up a new hobby or resurrected an old hobby? And I got so many people saying, oh my gosh, this is great, you should start playing it, I'd love to hear more. And that's kind of how it started. And then I did one, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. So
Yeah, it caught my attention. I mean, because we're on LinkedIn, we're scrolling down on LinkedIn, and okay, and it's what Todd's gonna play today. And I remember you when you were starting out, you were doing this whole insurance mixture in here kind of thing. It's like bring them in this way, and then showcase this. Which I love that. I mean, that's a complete marketing thing, right? The sales marketing right there. But I thought I want people to know about that because I thought it's a great example of just thinking outside the box, or just something a little different, and that doesn't hurt your business. It doesn't hurt you at all, right? It hasn't made you not get any people go, he plays guitar. Oh, I can't. I mean, like this, nothing happens, right? Nothing bad happens.
no, it's interesting because we just got back from last night. So if I'm a little groggy, I flew in at 2 a.m. last.
Oh, well, thanks for doing this. Okay, thanks for doing this. That's crazy. Yes.
So we went to Nashville. So it was our Bolton sales incentive trip, which was supposed to be last May, got pushed over to this May. And so like a lot of my colleagues have been watching, they're like, they think I'm a much better guitarist than I am, And so we go to Nashville and they're like, Todd, you should go up and play. I'm like, oh no, man, these guys are the real deal. But it's funny because like people like all of a sudden I'm known as like this guitar guy, and I was with a buddy who I've known, our kids have grown up, and he's like, like people kind of have an idea what I do, they probably kind of have an idea about what you do, but they don't really know, right?
No.
And a buddy of mine saw that video and he's like, I didn't know you did that kind of insurance. He's like, I want you to do insurance on my business. Can you do that for me? I'm like, absolutely. So it's kind of a good way to just tell people like what I do without being that annoying, obnoxious guy with the elevator pitch and the business card.
There. I mean, I think as a lot of people know, I was on Jimmy Kimmel a couple weeks ago.
I saw that. That was awesome.
That changed my life.
How did you pull that off to be the only person on Jimmy Kimmel?
And I tell you, and I do really mean this. When you're nice to people as you're moving through your career, I guess in life, you never know who remembers you. You never know who thinks highly of you. You just don't know. And I'm always just I'm just a nice person to everybody. I'm just me. I'm just James Lott Jr. And someone from my past is a producer on Jimmy Kimmel. And thought of my name, just thought of me. They're trying to find. They said, and on my birthday said, "Do you want to make history on television?" I'm like, "This is a joke. Am I being pranked?" And they explained everything to me and said, "Just send in a 30-second video being James Lott Jr." I'm like, "Okay, sure." I sent in, and Jimmy loved it and said, "Get him on now. Can you get a COVID test tomorrow? I'm fully vaccinated. Can you do it?" All this stuff, and literally in 2 days, I was at the El Capitan Theater on set, about to meet Jimmy in front of the world. I mean, it was the craziest.
It happened that quick in like 2 days.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it happened that quick. I had no chance to breathe. It was just like, okay, and I couldn't tell anybody until after I filmed it. Then I could tell me, and then I was in the promo, so I had family across the country going, "Did I just see you on Channel 7? I mean, like you're gonna be are they correct?" So I saw the whole East Coast happen first, and then like my family and friends from across the country, I kept getting all these messages as they came to LA, and then so my life hasn't been the same since. So I mean, I was his only studio audience member for 14 months. He had no live audience. I was the first one, so I made history. And he's only had a couple on since, and that's it. But they want me back possibly. So.
They still have like the laugh tracks and the clap and all that stuff.
They have a lot of folks. They have a lot of staff that stand around. It's a little side thing. He admits it, of course. There's a lot of staff in the room spread out. And they're like, yeah, they do the extra claps, and they probably fill in some stuff too, I'm sure.
Got it.
But that day it was me, and I was in the whole show. And it was just surreal. I got the fans loved me, and it was really crazy. But it's one of those things about just being open to life and being a nice person, doing a good job in life, and you never know what rewards will keep coming. Like I said, you doing doing these guitar things, you never know what kind of smile to bring somebody's face in the morning when they're like, I gotta get ready for work. I got this to do. During COVID, all that stuff going on. People were needing some sunshine. You gave some sunshine, Todd Jackson.
Well, what's interesting is like in our life stage right now is like we've had a lot of connections over the years, and kind of what you're saying, is like if you're nice to people, and eventually like a lot of our colleagues are in places of influence now, just kind of natural with your career and your mid 40s and 50s and stuff. And So yeah, I think it goes beyond don't burn a bridge,
That's
like
true too. No,
be nice to people. Yeah.
no, you're right about that. And also, this show happened because my friend Derek Roth and I did an interview on one of my other shows because we're friends, also longtime friends. Also,
Yeah.
we did an interview on one of my other shows, and some folks were like, "Is that James Lott Jr.? Like he's back? Like it got around." Because I left the business 12 years ago to come to Hollywood to be, a star or whatever. But it was funny that again, Derek and I stayed friends. We kept in contact. We did a great interview. Other people saw it and were like, "Oh, I like James. Oh my God, this is interesting." And then got to Clark, and the whole thing, it all worked out. So I mean, it's kind of, again, you're right. People are in positions of influence also that can make things happen for you when you're around. When you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s, like it just happens now. We're
Yeah.
there. So I agree with that. But so I want to make sure I mentioned that was when I saw those guitars. I thought that was a cool idea, just marketing wise, to just put yourself just a little different than others. And I went to. So how do you feel that you walked through this scary kind of thing? Because you could have said, "That's a great idea, Habib. That's great. I'm not doing that." But you did find a way to walk through it. So how did you come to that?
I've always been kind of a competitor, and I want to figure out a way to, like, tackle something. So if I have in my mind, like, I'm going to do this, you know, I'll try to figure it out. And I'm not scared of failure. I've failed a lot over my lifetime, and, I don't want to make a fool of myself, obviously, but, it's, it's fun. And I think I'm more of a, like, ready, shoot, aim type of guy, and so, and that gets me into trouble
Well, you know,
a lot of times too. But it's like, okay, I'll just go try it. I'll do it and film it. And then, hey, Sherry, what do you think? And, oh, you should change this. I'm like, well, too late. I already posted it. So maybe the next one.
I love it. And
But
first
that's
of all, you know
yeah.
how much I'm in love with your wife. So everybody
Yeah.
know I love me some Sherry Spencer Jackson. I know that's my girl.
She says to say hi. She's out running around, but she's like, I wish I could say hi to James. But
I know.
anyways,
We have a
that's
long time love affair. I love her. I love both you guys, of course. But I mean, that's my girl too. So long time. And we were trying to figure out, actually, before the show came on. We literally have known each other at least 20 years, the three of us. At least 20.
yeah.
I mean, back when I was doing those conferences and stuff, and doing Wyback and all those. We're talking. I had different hair. I had different hair colors. I had different things going on.
You're rocking the short shorts.
Exactly. We have a lot of stories. We have a lot of stories back there. We do. And so I'm just saying and we've kept in touch over the years. We've kept in touch online, kept in touch, and I've seen you guys kind of grow. You've seen me grow, and it's been and that's the thing about insurance and about this industry. You said a little bit earlier, there's some great lifelong friendships you can make, and people you can watch grow as they get older and as they grow in the business too. It's a great industry. It's a really great industry.
Yeah, I always kid, early on in my career, thought I was just going to be in the family business forever. And that was kind of my thing, and life happens and whatever. And I'm in a great place right now, but I always joke, like, it's the same people with just different name badges. Oh, you're with the Hartford now. Oh, okay. Yeah. But there's, like, it's kind of like this like mafia, like you don't get out, but it's a great business and great people and a lot of relationships. And kind of what you're saying with Claire, like, how long, like, so she turns 21 in July.
That's crazy. Who let that happen? Who let that happen? That's crazy.
I don't know. And I'm just, like, blown away. But yeah, you knew us before I think we were even pregnant with.
Yes, I knew before she was born. I knew you before she was born. I think that's how long we've known each other. Like that.
Oh, good, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, we look good still. We're hanging in there.
Yeah, sure. You got some good filters going, right?
Oh, exactly. I do have cheesecloth over the lens. I'm doing all that. I'm trying all that. What I want to ask you is, what do you think is your key to success staying in this business so long? I mean, you're going from the family to Bolton, do all this stuff. I mean, what do you think is one of your key to success?
I think, I've had a lot of different roles over the years, whether it's in sales or management or running an agency, owning an agency, soup to nuts. And I think I've really found my groove as being a producer. I really enjoy that. And I think just kind of finding my niche within this business, where I think I could be most effective and I enjoy it the most. I think that's what's kept me going. And I think kind of, salespeople are natural. I don't know if they're natural, but they have to be hunters, and they have to keep going out there and want that, and so by the time that, I don't have that desire anymore, maybe it's time for something else or a different role. But that's really what, keeps me going. It's fun, and it's different. Every day is different. It's not the same dull. Sometimes I wish it was dull.
Yeah, no. Well, insurance is all. I mean, insurance is always evolving. It's always changing. There's always every client has something different. Regulations and rules are always coming up, and I mean, no, it's interesting. It's not some stale, static. Every day you're pushing papers. It's not like that at all. It's a very ever changing business.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's making it more enjoyable and, allows me to kind of focus on doing what I'm doing is we have an incredible team at Bolton. We have a compliance team, we have safety, we have claims, we have people that write the blogs. And so the resources are deep, and I don't have to get in the weeds on a lot of stuff. So one thing I mentioned earlier is that, prior to the pandemic, our lease was coming up at Bolton and Pasadena, and we're growing. And so we needed more space. And since we're all remote, we figured, like most companies, like we don't need as much space as we thought.
Yeah.
So we took the time to remodel the office and redo everything. And, we were talking in Nashville, like, I don't even know where my office is going to be or whatever, but like, I don't care. They'll put me where they put me,
Right.
And those are the decisions that I don't have to make. And I used to have to make those, like, HR and payroll and leases and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff gets overwhelming, and it's easy to get burnt out. But, having those resources there and that support and those people, it's just been a world of difference for me.
Well, you're as good as your team. I mean, to me, it's like, it really does. Teamwork does make the dream work. It's always a joke and kind of a thing, but it really does. When you have people around you who know their jobs, it makes your job 10,000, go back to my number again, 100,000 times better. It does. I have a team too, and it makes things just run a lot smoother, which we
need. And when everybody knows what their role is in that team too, it's just, and we'll roll up our sleeves and do things outside of what we normally do. But like, you're right, when you have a good team and everyone knows what their role, and you have a common vision and mission, it's, it's easy to really, hit the gas and go for it.
So because you've been on some boards and done some association work. Mm-hmm. So how important, in your opinion, is the association, the Big I of California, to independent agents and brokers?
It's huge. It's huge. I was fortunate enough. So I got in the business at 22, and I was sitting in a restaurant in Pasadena, and someone walked over to me and said, "Hey, Todd, do you want to join the board of IIABCAL or IBA West or whatever it was at that time?"
Yes.
And I'm like, "What is it?" And my dad's like, "Go for it." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I kind of got in early on and saw, the value in the relationships. And a big reason I'm at Bolton is because I got to know the leadership team at Bolton through the association. The reason I have relationships with carriers is through that, and compliance issues. And, it's a world wealth of knowledge. And one thing I've learned, like you mentioned, I'm involved in NECA, which is a national electrical contractors. But every business, every industry, the top of class are always involved in their industry and their associations. I see it there. I see it in other industries, and it's no different with ours. And, I've heard guys over the years say, I don't want to, socialize with my competitors. And, those are the guys that you never see anymore after that, And it's been huge.
It's crazy because I look at insurance, though, this industry, especially, the one in California, that's what I know. Everyone's competitors, but I feel like everyone's also friendly and able and will share certain things. Like, I know if I don't cover this, I know someone at this place that covers. I've noticed that over the years. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I've noticed that even though it is a competition out there of some level, just like people are actually willing to be friendly enough to actually share information or knowledge.
Yeah, or even clients, like even at Bolton, we have a certain minimum client size that, we have to, write just due to the business model. And so some of the smaller ones, that's not really our cup of tea. So sometimes we'll just refer them to, friends of ours, that, acquaintances. And then if they have some monster that they can't handle, they'll maybe refer to us. So there's a little bit of that business going back and forth. But there is so much business out there. That I can count on, my hands, how many times I've run into like a close friend of mine in the industry, that's on an account. And if it is, it's just, you just call them up, say, hey, these guys called me. What do you want me to do? This is your client.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll say, hey, dude, back off. You're like, okay, I'm out. Other times they're like, you can have them. This is a fun client. Go for it, dude.
Yeah. No, because you're right. We can think well, first of all, we're in a large state, so we're very fortunate. We're in a large state, and it's a lot of business. There's a lot of people, and everyone needs insurance. Everybody needs insurance of some sort. I mean, there's plenty to go around, so to speak.
Well, in how long I've been in the business, I'll say, talk to a client or prospect. I'm with XYZ agency, and I'm like, who? And and they're like, oh yeah, they're just right down the road from you in Pasadena. I'm like, I've been working in Pasadena I've never heard of them. So right. Even there's still so many other agencies out there. I think the number was like 33,000 agencies in the state of California, from small to Aon, and everything in between. So there's a lot of people.
What do you think it would take? What are one of the things you think it would take for perpetuation to bring more people in to the business? We need to keep new blood coming in and livelihood coming in. In your opinion, what is like at least one thing we could do to get them in?
Well, I think one of the things that I've experienced going from a small agency to a larger organization is a lot of these larger organizations, at least that are privately held, can give their top performers stock, that they can actually either buy in or base off their performance. So they get some skin in the game. Yeah. And that's been a successful model for Bolton. And I think that's important, because the old days of having, one or two owners have this huge agency and everyone's kind of working for the man. We could all be better together and kind of share in the sharing the pie, so to speak. So I think that's important. And I think there's new ways, Bolton, we were an ESOP, which is an employee stock ownership plan. We recently were acquired by IMA, which is employee-owned company out of Denver. And we're going to be their California arm. And it was just kind of a natural transition for us. Hey, we can do better together than we can as two separate organizations. But both of those models have the ability for not just producers, but everybody from the receptionist on up to be a shareholder in the organization. And when you own something, you take much better care of it than we're just renting or you're working for somebody else. So I think that's unique to our industry. Because I don't know many other industries that do that. I mean, the ESOP model is becoming more popular, but I don't know many other industries that really kind of have the opportunity to, own a piece of a company without having to put up the money or the risk to do it,
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's the first time that answer's been on the show. I like that. So the answer has never been on the show. I've heard all kinds of answers. That's the first time type idea. Last couple of things, because I could talk to you forever, but thanks for being on the show, of course. Number one, are you still surfing?
Yes, that's my therapy.
So I have to. I mean, does it get easier as you get older, or does it get harder as you get older?
Just realize, so I've been a pretty active guy my whole life, and I've exercised and worked out and done different things. But really, the only way to stay in shape surfing is to go surf. There's just something about it. So for me, it's just, I love it. It's my therapy. It's not like going out and playing golf for 6 hours, so Sherry's a little more okay if I'm gone for a couple hours,
Yes.
So I love it, but I'm realizing now that I got to work more on flexibility and that kind of stuff. But my 20s and 30s, I can care less about that.
Where do you go surfing at? From where you are, you go to Malibu?
No, so I'm like Eastern LA County. So it's a 30-40 minute drive to the
Wherever
nearest
you
beach.
go. Okay, right, wherever
Is
you
a commitment. So anywhere from like Newport Beach,
go. Oh, okay,
Huntington, all
okay,
the way down to San Onofre.
okay.
But the cool thing is with technology is there's apps with web cameras, so I can tell exactly where to go. I can see pictures of the waves.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh, wow.
oh yeah, yeah.
Not know
And
that.
it's not like when I was a kid, living in, inland Glendora, I'd
Yeah.
have to drive all the way down to the beach and realize that it was terrible and turn around and come home.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
I didn't know they had. Well, I wonder why surprised. I mean, nowadays they have apps for everything. Yeah, apps for everything.
yeah, yeah.
I'm all. I wish I had stock in Zoom before COVID. I was like, I would be rich right now. I mean, I like knew.
Zoom, Zoom in cardboard boxes, right?
Yes, exactly. Who knew? Right? Who knew? I'm like, I should have known this. I'm like, because really, my industry relates on this so much in cardboard. I have some cardboard actually over here. I had to get some, but yes, I did just both things. Just like it's just who knew? Who knew?
It seems like my old days of like working in shipping and receiving in my house. We got all these boxes and I'm constantly tearing them down, breaking
Is
them
that
up.
I know? Is that crazy? You're ordering so much stuff. It's Instacart, all that stuff. It's like it's crazy. I'm like, there are things I wish I had known beforehand. Um,
Yeah.
and one of the last things, because we talked about it a little bit earlier, you're in this business, you've had a very nice life because of insurance. What is your secret to you and Sherry's marriage? Why it's lasted this long, and how how you're able to work, and how you raised a beautiful daughter? I mean, what do you, in your opinion, what do you think the secret is?
Wow, well, that's a great question. We just celebrated 25 years of
I
marriage.
know when you did that, I was like,
Yeah.
again, I was like, wait a minute, when did that? I'm like, that's crazy too. I was like, that's how that happened. But
Which
yes,
is incredible. And so I think there's a few things. I mean, you got to marry the right person, you know, and we married the right person, and we got married young. I mean, I was 22, she was 24. And we kind of laugh if we would have got married later in life, we've been, yeah, yeah. We would have been stubborn and kind of set in our way. So
yeah,
we grew up together. And then I think, I had the unfortunate, situation in my life where my parents divorced after 35 years of marriage, and they had what we thought was a really great marriage. And so that was an eye opener for us. So at that point, we had to make each other more intentional. We celebrate our anniversaries. We don't have to go extravagant, but we celebrate them because it's a big deal. Um, and then, the funny thing being empty nesters is that we kind of laugh, like we're like, boy, I'm sure glad we like each other because this would be really awkward.
yeah. Well, because this and COVID, especially both things, the
Oh
pandemic,
my
like
gosh.
they got you like each other, because I know folks who got divorced last
Yeah.
year because they just
Yeah.
realized after all these years, they're like, I don't really like you. You really get on my nerves.
And I think that's a great point because you have to, if you're too busy doing other things and like kids and everything else, you have to focus on your relationship. And that's critical piece of it.
Yeah, I noticed because I'm also a professional organizer by trade too, and
Yeah.
one of the things I learned last year is everyone wanted to hire me all of a sudden this last year because they're in their space, because everybody's working from home now. So they're like, when you leave the house at 7 in the morning, don't get home till 7 in the evening. You're only home for you make your dinner, you watch some TV, you go to sleep, do it again. So you're not really home in your stuff. You know what's going on, but you're not really in it. When you're forced to be in it, you're like, I need a desk, I need an area to work out. I mean, like this, it was crazy. So now I had so much business of people saying, you need to clear out this stuff, we need to declutter. But again, it's focusing on what's going on in the home. That's what happened this last year.
Yeah, and it's funny, working out of the house for the last year and a half. It's just like I've done so many home repair projects because you're staring at that crack in the wall in the paint. I'm like, I got to fix that, and oh, the windows are dirty. I got to clean those. Like you're right. When you're working all day, and you come home, you barely notice
I
that
mean,
stuff.
it's there, but it doesn't bother you because you don't really see it that long. But when you're sitting here like me, I'm looking right again. I'm like, oh yeah, they take care of that. Yeah, it's just staring at you in your face.
Yeah,
Yes.
Sherry coined that term for me years ago. She said visual noise. You
Ooh,
know,
I like that.
she's super organized, and she would like I would, and we've kind of flip flopped a little bit over the years. It's kind of funny. But she'd be like, we'd be sitting down watching TV, and like the little corner of the rug was just up, and she'd have to get up and like fix it.
That's hilarious. I love it. I love it.
But she couldn't like focus until that thing was.
Well,
And
yeah.
now that's me. I'm that guy. I'm like, I got to go fix that. The TV's a little crooked.
Visual noise. I never heard of it. I like that. That actually
Visual noise.
describes it perfectly. For me, it's always, I need to move that thing right here. That painting is a little, that's for me. Or a cabinet door being open. I have to close it.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
Can't have it open. Just bugs the crap out of me. Thank you, Todd Jackson, for being on the show, my friend. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. A lot of fun. So made my day. Thank you.
Oh, mine too. So you're at Bolton & Company. If they want to reach your company or anything, or reach you for business, tell them where they can find you.
So you can call me. My number is 626-535-1422. My email is tjackson. Don't ask me how to spell Jackson. That just blows my mind that people don't know. Maybe they didn't grow up in the 80s, James.
Right, exactly. It's like Jackson. Come on. Right. Everybody knows how to spell that name. Hello.
Yeah.
My name may be a little different. I get one T sometimes, an E at the end. But
Yeah.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
That's a tjackson at boltonco, BOLTONCO.com. So either way.
I like that. IIABCAL.org is the main organization website you can go to. You want to be part of the association or learn more about that. IIABCAL Voices are on my network, which is JLJ Media. We are on YouTube. We are on every audio streaming service from Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of those. Just look up IIABCAL Voices and go ahead and follow, subscribe, and like. If you're watching this, there's a subscribe button. I always point the wrong direction. I think it's this way. It's a little red triangle thing. Not triangle, a rectangle thing. I'm getting old. So hit that. Just hit it and say, thank you, James. I'm going to follow you and follow your company. Go ahead and follow that. And of course, you can follow me. We're all James Law Jr.'s are sold at James Law Jr. on all social media platforms. Everyone, please have a great week, and we will talk to you next time on the show.